The Zorax had never known fear. Their empire sprawled across the galaxy, a tapestry of conquered worlds etched in the bones of extinct species. They were the apex, the unbroken chain of predation, until they met humanity. Commander Vexthar the Dread Tide flexed his talons, the obsidian blades glinting under the blood-red light of the war room. The holographic corpse of the last Velnari elder flickered at his feet, its translucent face frozen in surrender. "Pathetic," he hissed, crushing projection underfoot. They begged, as if mercy existed. His second, Subcommander Kirax, chittered in agreement. The Velnari had shields, plasma cannons, yet they folded like hatchlings. Their fear was sweet. Vexthar's mandibles twitched. For 3 centuries, the Zorax had feasted on weakness. Their biology demanded it. Hypergenerative flesh, venomous claws, eyes that saw prey's heat like a painter saw color. But lately, the hunts had grown dull. Then the scout ship Hollow Fong returned from a fringe. Its captain, a scarred veteran named ZYR, limped into the war room, his exoskeleton cracked. The others fell silent. Zorax did not limp. "You're wounded," Vexthar said, not a question. ZYR's voice was raw. The prey they bit back. The hologram flared to life, revealing a blue-green world, asterisk Earth star. The footage showed ZYR's squad descending on a human settlement, a cluster of primitive dwellings. The humans should have run. Instead, they attacked. A Zorax warrior lunged, only to be impaled on a spear wrapped in crude explosives. Another fell, his throat torn out by a human's teeth. The last image was a close-up of a human's face, bloodied, grinning, then static. Kirax snarled. "Savages." Vexthar studied the frozen grin. No fear, only defiance. A novelty. "Send the Dread Tide," he said. "Let's see if their courage outlasts their flesh." As the war engines ignited, none noticed a data glitch in ZYR's footage. A half-second frame, buried in code. A human child, watching the slaughter, whispering 2 words into the dark. Asterisk they're coming. The Dread Tide tore through the void, its hull vibrating with the hunger of its crew. Vexthar stood on the command deck, watching her swell on the view screen, a deceptively calm orb, its blue marred by the scars of human wars. "Scan for military installations," he ordered. Kirax's claws danced over the console. Primitive defenses, kinetic projectiles, fission warheads, nothing that can pierce our shields. Vexthar's tail flicked. Then why did ZYR's squad die? The answer came not from sensors, but from the planet itself. A human transmission crackled across the comms. No words, just a looping audio clip, a Zorax death rattle, recorded during the first attack, played back in a distorted chorus. Beneath it, a slow, rhythmic thumping, a heartbeat. Kirax's frill flushed crimson. "They're mocking us." Vexthar silenced the feed. "No, they're hunting us." The first wave descended on a human city, not to conquer, but to eradicate. Plasma rained down, turning skyscrapers to slag. The Zorax expected screams. Instead, they got silence. The streets were empty. Then the ground erupted. Buried beneath the asphalt, crude electromagnetic pulses flared, frying drone swarms. From the ruins, humans emerged, not fleeing, but swarming, climbing over rubble like insects. A Zorax warrior roared, bisecting a soldier with his claws, only for the human's corpse to detonate, taking 3 more with it. Kirax's voice was sharp over the comms. "Their bodies are rigged with explosives." Vexthar watched a squad of humans drag a wounded Zorax into a collapsed subway tunnel. The last thing the warrior transmitted was a human voice, calm, almost clinical. Asterisk, "Let's see what makes you tick." Asterisk. Back on the Dread Tide, Vexthar stared at the tactical map. Losses were minimal, by Zorax standards. But the humans weren't fighting to win. They were fighting to learn. A new transmission hissed through. This time it was video. A human in a blood-stained lab coat stood over a dissected Zorax corpse. Its carapace pried open like a cracked egg. "Fascinating," the human murmured, lifting a glistening organ. "Your redundancy systems are impressive. But this," he tapped a pulsing node, "this is a vulnerability." The screen cut to static. Kirax lunged with console. We should glass the planet. Vexthar didn't move. The humans had taken their dead and turned them into intel. No species had ever done that. No species had dared. Prepare the orbital lance. He said at last. Target their command centers. As the weapon charged, a proximity alert blared. A swarm of human ships, junk heaps welded around stolen Zorax engines, streaked toward the dread tide. Kirax snarled. Suicide run. Vexthar watched the ships come. They weren't firing. They weren't evading. Then the lead ship's hull split open, and 1,000 human faces, pressed against the viewports, stared back. The human ships didn't collide. They clung. Metal shrieked as magnetic clamps bit into the dread tide S-hull. Vexthar's command screen lit up with damage reports, not from impacts, but from boarding drills. The humans were cutting their way in. Kirax whirled, hissing, sealed the lower decks. Too late. The first breach came in Hangar Bay 3. Security feeds showed humans pouring through the gashes in their own ships, weapons blazing, not plasma rifles, but crude ballistics, their bullets shattering on Zorax armor. Useless. Until the Zorax noticed the humans weren't aiming at them. They were shooting the ceiling. A storage crate exploded, releasing a cloud of rust-colored powder. A warrior inhaled and screamed, his respiratory vents melting. The humans, masked and relentless, advanced through the chemical fog. Vexthar watched, his blood running cold. They'd turned their own toxins into weapons. Flush the bay, he ordered. The emergency protocols ejected the hangar into space, humans and Zorax alike. But the damage was done. The dread tide S-systems flickered. The humans had spliced their tech into the ship's veins. A voice crackled over the comms. The same scientist from the dissection video. Asterisk, you regenerate, yes? Let's test those limits. Asterisk, alarms wailed. The humans had rerouted life support. Oxygen levels plummeting, nitrogen spiking. Zorax warriors staggered. Their metabolism starved of breathable air. Kirax collapsed, clawing at his throat. Cowards! Fight us! A gunshot cut him off. A human stood in the doorway. Her uniform singed, her eyes flat as a shark's. She didn't gloat. She didn't even speak. She just shot Kirax again, this time through the skull. Vexthar lunged. His talon should have shredded her. Instead, she twisted, her augmented spine bending like wire, and drove a vibroblade into his secondary heart. Agony ripped through him. But he healed, the wound sealing in seconds. The human smiled. Good. We need you alive. He roared, slamming her into the wall. But more humans flooded the bridge. Their weapons trained not on him, but on his crew. One by one, his warriors fell, not to honorable combat, but to efficiency. The scientist stepped forward, wiping blood off a datapad. Your biology is remarkable, but predictable. He tapped the screen. Like your ships, your tactics, your fear. Vexthar spat ichor. We fear nothing. The human tilted his head. Then why are your pheromones screaming? A hologram flared. A Zorax homeworld, its skies darkened by human fleets. Not just ships. Ark ships. Colony vessels. You came to exterminate us, the scientist said. We came to stay. The screen split. 1,000 feeds of humans boarding Zorax vessels across the galaxy. Their faces grim, their hands steady. No mercy, no hesitation. Vexthar's claws trembled. This wasn't war. It was replacement. The last thing he saw was a human's blade, humming toward his spine. The last thing he heard was laughter. Vexthar's body twitched on the dissection slab, his remaining heart pulsing under the scientist's scalpel. Dr. Elias Carter ignored the Zorax's snarls. His focus locked on the holographic readouts. Fascinating, he murmured. Asterisk, your neural clusters don't just heal, they adapt. Asterisk, the Zorax commander spat a wad of acidic venom. It sizzled against the containment field. Asterisk, you will beg for death when the swarm arrives. Asterisk, Elias paused. Asterisk, the swarm? Asterisk, a flicker of satisfaction crossed Vexthar's face. Asterisk, you think we were the galaxy's true apex? We were merely the hunters. The swarm, there the storm. Asterisk. The lab doors hissed open. Admiral Rykov strode in, her cybernetic ice scanning the prisoner. Asterisk, he's talking. Asterisk. Asterisk, finally. Asterisk, Elias tapped a command into his datapad. Asterisk, there's something worse out there. Something even the Zorax feared. Asterisk, Rykov's jaw tightened. Asterisk, of course there is. Asterisk, a klaxon blared. The overhead lights flashed crimson. Asterisk, Admiral. Asterisk, a comms officer's voice crackled through the speakers. Asterisk, long-range scanners just picked up a distortion wave, moving faster than light. It's not Zorax. It's tearing through their old territory. Asterisk, Vexstar let out a guttural laugh. Asterisk, too late. The swarm smells blood. Asterisk, Elias exchanged a glance with Rykov. The same unspoken thought passed between them. Asterisk, the Zorax were just the beginning. The holographic star map flickered, its crimson warnings pulsing like an open wound. Admiral Rykov braced herself against the war table, her cybernetic eye-parsing data faster than her organic one could blink. Asterisk confirmed. The swarm has consumed the Zorax homeworld in under 6 hours. Asterisk. Silence gripped the command center. Even Elias, usually buried in his research, stood frozen beside Vexstar's containment cell. The once proud Zorax commander now pressed his claws against the glass, his voice a rasp. Asterisk. They stripped planets to the bedrock. No conquest. No prisoners. Only hunger. Asterisk. Rykov zoomed the projection. The swarm's advance wasn't fleet. It was a wave, a black tide of self-replicating drones devouring everything in their path. No communications. No demands. Just annihilation. Elias exhaled sharply. Asterisk, they're von Neumann machines. Exponential growth. Asterisk. Asterisk, can we outrun them? Asterisk, someone asked. No, Rykov said. Asterisk, but we can outthink them. Asterisk. Vexstar's laugh was hollow. Asterisk, the Zorax tried. We had weapons that could crack planets. They adapted before the first shot landed. Asterisk. Elias turned, his gaze locking onto the alien. Asterisk, you fought them before. How? Asterisk. Asterisk, we didn't. We ran. Asterisk. A new alert blared. The swarm had altered course. Straight toward Earth. Rykov's fingers curled into fists. Asterisk time? Asterisk. 72 hours, came the reply. Elias was already moving, snatching a datapad. Asterisk. Then we weaponize everything. Asterisk. The Zorax watched silent, as the humans did what no species in galactic history had dared. They prepared to fight a hurricane with a knife. The air in Earth's war bunker tasted like ozone and adrenaline. Admiral Rykov stared at the tactical hologram, her cybernetic eye parsing the swarm's advance, a black tide swallowing star systems whole. They've adapted to every weapon the Zorax threw at them, Elias muttered, fingers flying over his datapad. Asterisk, plasma, antimatter, even singularity bombs. They just reconfigure. Asterisk. Vexstar's claws scraped his containment cell. Asterisk. I told you, the swarm doesn't conquer. It erases. Asterisk. Rykov ignored him. Asterisk. What if they can't adapt to something they've never seen? Asterisk. Elias froze. You mean... Asterisk. Yes. Asterisk. She tapped a command. The hologram shifted, displaying Earth's darkest vaults. Rusted nukes, gene plagues, and prototypes pulled from the wreckage of Zorax ships. Asterisk. We fight monsters with monstrosities. Asterisk. A klaxon shrieked. The swarm had crossed the Kuiper Belt. 60 hours. A lieutenant reported. Elias exhaled. Asterisk. Then we go to hell swinging. Asterisk. Above Pluto, the first drones appeared. Not ships, not machines. Things jagged, fractal horrors, their edges shifting like broken glass. They ignored Earth's outer defenses, slipping past railguns and lasers like they were illusions. Rykov watched the feed from the Winter's Grasp, Earth's last dreadnought. Asterisk fired the resonance torpedoes. Asterisk. The missile struck, and for a glorious second, the swarm shuddered, its drones vibrating apart into dust. Then the fragments twisted, reassembling into something worse. They just turned our weapon into a blueprint, Elias whispered. The winter's grass died next, its hull unraveling like thread in a storm. In the bunker, Vexthar laughed. Asterisk, you see now? The swarm isn't life. It's anti-life. Asterisk. Rykov turned. Slow. Deliberate. Asterisk. Then we'll give it something truly alien. Asterisk, she opened a secure channel. Asterisk, Dr. Chun. Release subject Omega. Asterisk. Elias went pale. You don't mean... Asterisk. The Zoraks never tried biological warfare against a swarm. Asterisk, Rykov said. Asterisk, because they feared it too much. We don't. Asterisk. The screen lit up, a lab deep under Mars. A vat bubbling with black fluid. And inside, asterisk something asterisk human made, but not human at all. Vexthar recoiled. Asterisk, what is that? Asterisk. Elias answered, voice hollow. Asterisk, our last mistake. The vat hissed open. Black fluid sluiced on the lab floor, smoking where it touched steel. Dr. Chen's hands shook as monitors flared with warnings. Asterisk neural activity detected. Metabolic rate accelerating. Containment breach imminent star. Elias's voice crackled over the comm. Asterisk. Chun, abort if it's not stable. Asterisk. Asterisk. It was never stable. Asterisk, Chun whispered. The thing in the vat twitched. Vexthar's claws dug into his cell walls. Asterisk. You fools. You took Zorak's bioweapons and improved them. Asterisk. Rykov watched the feed, her cybernetic eye cold. Asterisk. No. We made something even you couldn't imagine. Asterisk. The swarm's vanguard hit Mars. Drones descended like locusts, scouring the surface to bare rock in minutes, until they reached the lab. Then they stopped. For the first time in galactic history, the swarm hesitated. Chen's screen flickered. A single line of text appeared. Feed me. The thing in the vat smiled. Earth's orbit became a slaughterhouse. The swarm recoiled as subject Omega unspooled. A living shadow, chewing through drones faster than they could replicate. It didn't fight. It consumed, rewriting the swarm's own code against it. Elias stared at the tactical feed, nausea rising. Asterisk, it's learning, adapting, just like them. Asterisk, Rykov didn't blink. Asterisk, good. Asterisk, Vexthar slammed against the cell. Asterisk, you don't understand. The swarm was contained, an enemy you could see. This thing thinks. It wants. Asterisk, a new alert screamed. Omega had breached Mars's atmosphere, headed outward, toward Earth, toward them. The bunker shook. Lights failed. Screens died. In the darkness, Rykov's eye glowed like a predator's. Asterisk, Chun. Final option. Asterisk, a pause. Then, asterisk, it'll kill everything in the solar system. Asterisk, asterisk, I know. Asterisk, Elias grabbed her arm. Asterisk, we created this. We don't get to murder billions to hide our mistake. Asterisk, she turned. For the first time, something human flickered in her gaze. Asterisk, then pray Omega wins. Asterisk, the comms erupted. Omega had reached the swarm's core. The feed showed two horrors entwined, a black hole of teeth and data, eating each other alive. Then the transmission cut. Silence. Vexthar whispered what they all feared. Asterisk, which monster survived. The screen stayed dead. The comms hissed static. Even Vexthar, who had spent centuries bathing in the screams of dying worlds, held his breath. Then light. A single monitor flickered to life, its feed glitching with interference. The image steadied, revealing the void where the swarm's core had been. Now, only wreckage drifted, shattered drones half digested, their fractal edges blunted. No sign of Omega. Elias leaned in, pulse hammering. Asterisk, did it work? Asterisk, Rykov cybernetic eye word. Zooming. Asterisk, no look. Asterisk, among the debris, something moved. A shadow, no larger than a human hand, skidded across a drone's carcass, then split, replicating itself in seconds. It's not gone, Chin whispered. Asterisk, it's evolving. Asterisk, Vexstar let out a sound no Zorax had ever made before, a whimper. Earth's surviving fleet got the order. Burn the system. Asterisk, asterisk. Nova-class warheads. Scavenged from Zorax wreckage. Armed in their silos. Enough fire to vaporize every planet from Mercury to Neptune. Elias slammed his fist on the console. Asterisk, we can't. There's still billions on Mars's colonies, the orbital. Asterisk. Rykov didn't look at him. Asterisk, they're already dead. Omegas in the solar relays. It's learning how to spread. Asterisk, a proximity alert blared. The shadow on screen had grown, its tendrils knitting into a mockery of human neural pathways. It's building something, Chin said. Then the feed died again. This time it didn't come back. The bunker's emergency lights bathed them in blood red. Rykov input the final codes herself. Asterisk, 30 minutes until detonation. Asterisk, Elias grabbed a sidearm. Asterisk, I'm not dying in this hole. Asterisk, Vexstar bared his fangs. Asterisk, where will you go? There's no out. Asterisk, asterisk, then I'll look in the eyes. Asterisk, he stormed toward the surface, Rykov shouting after him. But the blast doors sealed shut behind him. The surface was worse than he'd imagined. The sky bled. Omega's tendrils draped from the clouds, skeletal and glistening, stitching together a structure too vast to comprehend. Not a ship, not a weapon, a gate, and from it, something stared back. Elias raised his gun. The last human laugh echoed through the ruins as the warheads ignited.